Have you ever been clearer about your values before? Have you ever felt clearer than you do now? They seem so simple, just easy to take for granted. I'm going to enumerate and outline some of those values. They are Unitarian Universalist values. And if you're not a Unitarian Universalist and you came here this morning, you're going to be nodding along because it was those values that got you onto Google or made you remember, I heard about these people. I heard about the Progressive Church. I'm going to check it out. Our values are that each human being has inherent worth and dignity, and that we respect people's autonomy of body, their reproductive choices, their sexuality, their gender expression. We respect that. We believe in basic civility, that manners matter, that they help grease the wheels of a working society, the please and the thank you and the I'm sorry, I was wrong about that. Not name calling. We believe that men and women are equal and that are equally able to be in leadership positions. We believe that negotiating in times of conflict is the way to be. Sit down, find areas of commonality, give a little on one side, give another on the other side, and if you don't get your way, you say, well, that's the process. You don't say, go after the person that I disagree with, or I'm gonna get you. I'm gonna throw you in prison. We believe that people are individuals and that we all belong in groups that have certain identities attached to them, but that within those groups, people are individuals, and there are some terrific people in each group, and there are some really lousy human beings in each group, and that's how it goes. But we can't possibly make generalizations about any one population or group at all. This simply can't be done with any intellectual integrity. We believe that thou shalt not bear false witness. Lying is a problem. It destroys all trust between people who must live and abide together. We believe in peace, the promoting of peace, because so much is at stake if we do not promote peace. We respect the laws of the land, even though we may try at times to revise those laws, because that is part of the process here in the United States of America. We believe that the Constitution is worth upholding. We believe in learning. We are really into learning. We're really people who love reading and people who love watching documentaries and talking with each other, and we read a lot of newspapers and journals, and we are people who often are known to say, well, I could be learning more about that, and I probably should. We energetically pursue knowledge. We care about the earth, our planet. We consider the careful stewardship of it to be a crucial human commitment in this moment in our history. We respect the advances and the information provided by science. We know that science is always learning and always evolving, it's true, but we respectfully consider evidence, even for what we had not previously considered possible. We trust the insights of science, even while knowing that they are not perfect and inviolable. We affirm democratic principles over authoritarian ones. That's one of our 7 Unitarian Universalist principles. And we believe that all voices should be heard and multiple perspectives considered. These are some of our values. The United States has just elected a president who has egregiously, publicly, and unapologetically violated every single one of those values that I just named. This is not my opinion. It is a matter of public record. I want to tell you why I am not in the let's wait and see camp. Because I believe that the truth shall set you free, and that honesty and truth are what's needed now, not a retreat into niceness and avoidance and denial. We can face the truth honestly and still be nice and still be kind. But when someone tells me who they are, when they do me that great favor, I believe them. I am glad there is no question. If there is a saving grace in this moment in American history, it is that. I like to know who I'm working with in positions of high power. And I am very grateful that I have been clearly told who this man is. Now, he may change, or he may change his mind, or he may not act out what he has promised to do, and those are all interesting possibilities. But I have knowledge today that I am trusting, and I want to say, knowledge should never frighten us. We should get as much information about our world as we can, always, and use it wisely. Intelligence gathering and surveillance can go both ways. You want to know what I'm doing? Yeah, I want to know what you're doing too. Let's keep tabs on each other. Now you're going to have a lot, they have a lot more technology on their side, but it's all right. I'm on the truth team right now. And I want to encourage all of you to be on that team. If I say, let's wait and see, that's a retreat that I can make based on my privilege. Because nothing bad has happened to me personally since the election, not really. But I have to tell you, and I had hoped not to ever have to tell you, that a lot bad has happened to me in the months leading up to it. I want you to know that I have been harassed, insulted, threatened, and had absolutely vile comments made to me about what will or should happen to me as a feminist and as a woman of Jewish heritage in a Trump regime that is the fantasy of what we now call the alt-right, which is the new name that we give to what I just call good old-fashioned Nazis and neo-Nazis. And they say they're Nazis, they don't hide it. White nationalists, white supremacists. They've come after me and anybody who speaks out by the legions. Now, whether or not their fantasy will come true or not remains to be seen. I was not surprised by the outcome of Tuesday's election because I have seen and watched and not turned away from the rise of the extreme right wing in America. I have taken a front row seat to it, and I have watched white people conveniently ignore it. I have to say that. Lesbian and gay and transgender people have known it. Black Americans, African Americans, and people of color have surely known it. Latinos have known it. Immigrants have known it and seen it coming and suffered for it already. Women have sensed it, but many of us didn't really know it until a few weeks ago when we realized that even a presidential candidate bragging about committing sexual assault wasn't going to end his campaign. Boys will be boys. Locker room talk. But those of us who have been grabbed and groped know that no decent man talks that way in any locker room. By the way, I've seen lots of women in locker rooms too. And transgender people. Locker rooms are not just a space for No. So for me to say, let's wait and see, feels like a betrayal of the students on the Wellesley College campus this past week who were followed around by a truck full of men waving a Trump banner, who were catcalling them and harassing them on the way to class. For me to say, let's all try to get along and listen to opposing viewpoints would be to betray the children in classrooms across America who have been taunted by their classmates that they're going to be deported now. It would be a betrayal of the women who have had their hijabs torn off by people shouting, "Make America Great Again." And even in Marblehead, there was a woman walking in a hijab and someone unrolled their window. I think it was Marblehead. I'm getting these stories mixed up, but these are firsthand accounts. Someone rolled her window down and said, "Bye." It feels like it would be a betrayal of the synagogues that have had swastikas painted on the side of their buildings. It would be to betray my friend Scott's friend, who was goaded into a political conversation on the subway in New York City recently, and who was then sexually assaulted by a group of men who said, "There's nothing you can do about it now." This is a refrain being jeered in the faces of women who have been grabbed where no one should ever feel they can grab. Make America great again. For me to say, this wasn't really about racism, it was about hurting white working class people who don't feel respected, would be to betray the facts. Many college-educated, middle-class, and upper-middle-class, and wealthy people voted for Trump. Perhaps they just liked his economic policies. But in ignoring all the other threats he made and has made to American people and to the Constitution, threats he has made to his opponent and to millions of other Americans, those voters put their concerns before the actual safety of their neighbors. And that's one of our values too, by the way. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. And in the words of our seventh Unitarian Universalist principle, we are part of an interdependent web of existence. So what happens to you happens to me. What happens to the earth in South Dakota happens here. The water that someone can't drink in Flint, Michigan is going to be the water that we can't drink here because it becomes normalized. I cannot betray the African American student in a small, almost all-white Massachusetts town who was given a Trump banner as a gift by a group of white students wearing Confederate flags on their hats. My friend, who's her pastor, will be talking to the principal as soon as she can get in. I need to be disturbed. I cannot just say, well, this is just how the democratic process works. Some people win, some people lose. I need to keep vigil for her and for my neighbors and with you. I need to keep watching these stories unfold on the ACLU website, by following Operation Ferris Wheel on Twitter, by following Planned Parenthood, and if nobody's reached out this week to Claudia Luck, do. She works at the top level of Planned Parenthood leadership. And the Student Press Law Center, and the Southern Poverty Law Center, which tracks hate groups in America, and I see them skyrocket in numbers recently. Will you keep vigil with me? And will you gain and claim and use as much power as possible to not only keep vigil, but to sacrifice comfort and time and peace of mind to respond and to respond quickly and with as much soul force as possible to defend the safety and civil rights of all Americans. Last week I said this: we are already engaged in this work. We are as ready as any to respond to injustice. We are already set up for crisis response. We are already in the business of directly confronting the ways that fear and suffering and alienation divide us. We are already set up to be lifelines for one another. The dark around us come. Let us meet here together, members one of another, here in our holy room. If you care, I want you to see, and if you want to see this through, you are in the right place. I want to reintroduce you to Martha Curry and to Jeff Gunther. Are they both here? Martha, I know you're here. Jeff, can you just stand up? And I know it's uncomfortable, but we're going to be dealing with a lot of discomfort, right? We can do it. These are your co-chairs of our social justice ministry team. Thank you so much. Just know who they are. The ministry team meets monthly. They plan programs. They partner in very real, meaningful ways with our partner organizations, which you can find on our website if you're curious as to what those are. One of our most important community partners that I want you to know about right now is ECHO, the Essex County Community Organization. Debbie Boggs is our liaison to ECHO. And where are you, Debbie? Come on and stand up. Let's see this lady. And she's been on the board. And she's been working, as many of you have, for justice. Now, ECHO is mobilized. It's already set up. That's exactly what they do, what we've been doing, those of us who've been involved in ECHO for years. We have been having conversations across racial and class lines to create strategies for justice in Essex County. We have met with the sheriff, the new sheriff, Kevin Coppinger, multiple times. He was the Lynn police chief, and now he's the sheriff of Essex County. That's where a lot of immigration detentions come in. And so we know him, we have a relationship, we have his cell phone number. We have to hold him accountable to what he said he wasn't going to do, even though it will be lucrative for him and his department to collect immigrants for detention. You know, it's lucrative. That's a federal campaign there. You can join with ECHO, join the gatherings, go to the racial justice training on November 29th. Take a few days, take time off work if you can. Pay attention to what they're doing. We have materials that Martha has brought. Please, I beg of you all, get on our weekly update mailing list. Pay attention to the website. Pay attention to our Facebook page. I ask you, find our Facebook page and follow it. Will you promise me that you will try to do that? And if you don't know how, I will teach you. It's where we get connected on a lot of things that are going on where you're needed. There are protests. There's a protest coming up right now outside the immigration control. What does ICE stand for? Immigration control enforcement. Okay, so your body in real places of change, please try. Let me know how I can help, how we can help. And I ask this of all of us, that we remember when we first get involved, that the leaders have been there for a long time. And they will not have time to minister to you emotionally. Okay? As a white woman, I want to lovingly remind other white people not to center our feelings. What that means is showing up in a place and needing to process a lot of our feelings in a space where there's organizing and strategy being created. Let's do that processing here in community. That's what I'm here for. And If you want to read Waking Up White by Debbie Irving, that will maybe be helpful in thinking some of your own emotions through. And now I want to tell you about the God of our tradition. Our God, the source of life and creative energy in which we live and move and have our being, or for non-theists, the source, the spirit of life, or just the universe, is intimately connected to and invested in love. This love gives us soul strength. We experience God not as a commanding and threatening power, but as a commanding love. We believe in a sacred dimension to life that is characterized by abundance. There is enough for all. We regard the diversity within nature and within humankind as a marvelous gift, even as it does present challenges in our dwelling together on a small planet. We think diversity and difference is beautiful, exciting, inspiring, however that diversity expresses itself. We are marvelously and wonderfully made in all kinds. We believe that God is a unity, a holy oneness at the heart of being. We believe that God, or ultimate reality, is relational, and that it works in our lives as an instinct, impulse, and desire to be made and shaped into a people who belong to one another. We believe that God's most sacred work in our hearts is to urge us out of our separateness and into relationship, into communities that look just like this one looks now, where people are willing to be there for each other in real ways. We believe that God's love is not contingent on how anyone voted. If you needed to hear that today, let me say it again. God's love is not contingent on how anybody voted, and neither is mine, and neither is the church's. We will continue to insist that justice is what love looks like in public, and we can disagree. But have I told you lately that I love you? There's a phrase that has come to my mind many times over the past few days. It is, gird your loins. In the ancient Near East, men and women both wore long flowing tunics that would get in the way when they had to do heavy lifting or labor or fight in battle. Girding your loins was a reference to the manner of wrapping one's tunic up around one's legs and into their girdle or belt to allow for better freedom of movement and mobility. In the Bible, when the expression gird your loins appears in reference to men, it means prepare for battle. But when it appears in reference to women, it means to prepare for childbirth. Gird your loins, people of love. Prepare to do battle in the name of love, using soul force, allyship, wisdom, networking, and benevolent power that protects the vulnerable. We may go into a terrible battle, or we may birth a healthy child. God help us. God help us.